Hi, James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm quite hot, but I'm just trying to work with it. So if I look a bit shiny, please just, yeah. How about you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Not quite as hot yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah, good. So you work for Capita, don't you? So tell me a bit about what you do. You sound like you've got quite a swanky role.
It is, yeah, it's pretty cool. So I work for Capita, which is obviously a massive organisation across the UK and now into Europe, and also into India as well. Big presence there as well. So I work as part of a small innovation function that's under the customer management division. So customer management would be more of your kind of general contact center type business with a large focus on customer experience specifically. So the team that I work as part of is small, so it's about 10 to 12 of us altogether, with a range of different kind of skill sets within that. So within the team, we have agile developers, we have data scientists, and then we have kind of insights, improvement sort of backgrounds in there as well, along with some planning. And the team itself operates a little bit like a startup within Capita. And what that means is that we don't necessarily have a reliance on traditional IT. And with that, it means that we're free to kind of go out and look and explore the market for new technologies that we think will solve particular problems. And we're trying to solve industry level problems with that technology. So we don't have to necessarily invest in a single IT or technology vendor. We can kind of free to talk to startups as well. And develop use cases to fix very specific problems that hopefully then we can kind of promote and bring to market for multiple organizations from ourselves.
Fantastic. I love it. Talking to someone who's actually, so we're obviously a startup, but I've come from the corporate world. I've never been a kind of startup kind of within a corporate world. So you've got about quite a unique position there. What does it feel like? Do you feel like you do have the startup mentality, but you within a bigger corporate? What's the culture like? How does that all work?
So the culture is interesting because Capita itself is on a huge transformation journey itself, and we're obviously trying to change the way that people view Capita and also the services that Capita provides to its clients. So we're much more becoming less of a traditional BPO and trying to become more of a software and digital services and company. So I think we're almost at the spearhead of that because we're able to do it much quicker with us acting a little bit like a startup, because it means we're doing things differently than what we have done in the past, and changing people's perceptions, starting with our existing clients, bringing them in, showing them the new thinking, showing them our new ideas, and getting them to take more of ideas back into their internal organization. So it's less about kind of our contact center representatives from the Capita side talking to contact center representatives on the client side, and much more kind of saying, get the rest of your business to kind of see what we've got to offer as well, because we think we can do a lot with the size and scale that we've got as Capita, but with a new, leaner, agile way of working.
Smashing. Okay, you mentioned customer experience there. That is absolutely my passion. How does that work in your team? What does that look like?
So, I mean, everything we're doing has that customer experience focal point. If we're not improving the customer experience, if we're not creating better outcomes for customers, then there's no point in us doing what we're doing. So, I mean, we're a B2B, obviously, Capita to our clients, but we're really a B2B to C, because we're serving our clients' customers essentially.
Yeah.
So that's the focus. So it's all about making sure that we're providing a better experience, improved experience, but also trying to fit that key reason why so many clients come to us is that we can provide the economies of scale and be efficient in the way we deliver those experiences.
Perfect. Love it. You're absolutely speaking my language here. What I think you mentioned you're working on some particular digital trends at the moment. What are the buzzwords, all the technical buzzwords like AR and all what are you working on at the moment? What exciting things are you working on?
So I guess the two big ones that we're working on are AI, which everyone's working on, obviously, and AR, which is more recently. So augmented reality, yeah, is one we've picked up kind of fresh this year. We've done a couple of campaigns around it in the media. We've done a webinar around AR as well, and we're looking at how AR has now come to the fore or will be coming to the fore as a technology, specifically around retail. But also looking how we can potentially couple that with conversational AI to have an almost guided, immersive sales experience.
Oh, what does that look like? How would I feel that as a customer in a retail environment?
So I guess the latest developments within augmented reality are specifically around the fact that we can now see really highly detailed objects through your mobile phone's browser, essentially. So if you've got an iPhone that's been around for the last couple of years, you will have this capability. Android in the last year or so, you should have this capability. So the ability to be able to see an object through your phone's browser, which links to your camera, so you can bring that object to life in your live environment.
Yes.
So whether it's putting it onto the table or onto the floor around you, it works fantastically well with larger objects, so like a sofa, for example. And that's one of the things we showed on the webinar, is putting a sofa into a specific place within your room. Being able to kind of walk all the way around it, look underneath it, look over the top of it, zoom right into the cushions to get the texture. We're now at that stage where that's all possible from the mobile phone without any kind of apps, no downloads, no kind of goggles that you need to wear. It's all now accessible. So those barriers to entry are completely removed.
Yeah, you feel something there. That the goggle piece was always the bit you'd see before on Google Glasses, and how does that work, and reliability. So it's interesting now you can do it with the phone that everybody has got. So yeah, I love that. So I had to buy some new glasses this week. Had to go into Vision Express, and it struck me how much contact there is between, obviously, the lady who was helping me choose the glasses, pick them up, try them on, trying to do that with a mask, which is really uncomfortable and awkward, trying to work out how it looks on your face when you can only see that much of your face, and then obviously you try on about 8, I think I tried on, and then having to put them down and then have someone wipe them. This little girl came over, cutest little girl in the world, came over and handed me her glasses that were about this big. I said, there you go. And I was like, oh, that's lovely, but my face is quite larger than yours. Quite chubby cheeks. And I did think this is ripe for that kind of technology. If you could make that work in a way where you don't have to leave your sofa, maybe the sofa that you've just helped us position and buy, and actually be able to try on something like that. The same with clothes. Everyone's now getting clothes delivered and then send them back. The way, if retail could move in that direction and be much more accessible, and not scary, and kind of just a really easy way of using AR and being able to work out what it looked like on your body. I know there are some stuff like that. I just, as a female buying clothes, I haven't seen the option in the mainstream yet in retail. I'm sure it won't take long, but that's interesting for me to see, and especially to hear how you guys are exploring that already. How does the AI piece fit in with that?
The AI is, for us, we believe it's kind of the best conversational AI. So it's the most advanced conversation that you can have with a robot. So it's a true AI. So it's not like a chatbot where you essentially have to kind of pre-program everything that the AI is going to say back.
Yes.
You don't have to pre-program all the rules and decision trees within there. It's actually intelligent. And then from that, it's also making its own decisions. So it's goal orientated. So if the goal is to make a sale, the AI is determining the best way to converse with the customer in order to achieve its goal. And obviously, the more conversation it has, the more it understands, and the better it gets at being able to achieve that goal. And you can kind of change, obviously, the tolerances around that as well. So when we've combined it with the augmented reality, we're effectively starting a sales conversation, guiding the customer to find the product that they want, showing them all the different options, all very naturally spoken as you would kind of type or text. And then when it comes to the point of being able to show them, we kind of present them with, in this case, if they're on a browser, it would be kind of a QR code. Say, grab your phone, scan the QR code, and see it in your living room or wherever you are. You can kind of see it live. If you're doing it on your mobile phone, it would just come across as a link. But I think the fact that it's a conversation which is kind of text-based and through a messaging platform opens up the ability to how you start and initiate those sales conversations. So you can almost combine both digital and analog at the same time. So there's no reason why I couldn't proactively send you a text message saying, we've got a sale on whatever piece of furniture, why don't you start this conversation? You click the link and it goes straight through to the AI to have that conversation, and then that links straight through to the AR to bring it to life. In the same way that you could use print media traditionally just to kind of print a QR code, and again, using the QR code to scan and begin a conversation immediately from that. You don't necessarily have to navigate to a website to begin these journeys anymore.
I love QR codes. We use them quite a lot on our digital marketing, etc. Really helpful. Yeah, it's interesting that the kind of from a customer point of view, the chatbot approach in retail has been interesting. I was coaching someone the other day, someone who works in a contact center, and they don't have a chatbot, but they do have a conversation that works through chat. And they said actually what they're struggling with now is people automatically think they are AI or a robot, and they now have to say to them, yes, you know, it comes across as, hi, I'm Adam, or whoever they are.
Yeah.
They now feel they had to say, I'm an actual human, which is completely transformed in, you know, from the other way. And I guess once AI is more out there and is as smart as I've seen it be, where you really can't tell the difference between the two, and it picks up emotions, it picks up the nuances such as sarcasm or dialect.
Yes.
All of that piece can be quite complicated to build an AI platform that actually responds like it is a real human. We now have the opposite way around, where actual humans have to try and tell that no, I am a real human.
And it's kind of insulting, as you're being told that you're not convincing as a human being.
Yes, exactly. It's a whole new dynamic, isn't it, really, if you think about how tech has got that good,
Yeah.
or a human is that robotic. Whichever way around it is. It's certainly an interesting way, isn't it? But I can imagine the frustration of typing out a chat and trying to help a customer, and a customer saying, could you just put me through to a real human, please? I'm getting fed up with this. So there is that angle. But yeah, I mean, how helpful will it be? I mean, especially when I was thinking about, I used to work at EasyJet. So when I left there and obviously went into COVID, there were hours and hours where people were trying to use chat or trying to get a response of what's happened to my flight. And I remember taking a screenshot at the time, and I think it was like 3 hours or 4 hours or however many hours before you could chat to someone. But if you had an AI bot that, I don't know if you call it an AI bot, do you? An AI solution?
I mean, we tend to keep calling it conversational AI, which is obviously a bit of a tongue twister and a mouthful to get out. So we probably need a better way of, or an acronym to kind of explain what it is. But it essentially is a bot, but it's a truly intelligent bot, I suppose.
Or if you had one of those truly intelligent bots working through that, you could dramatically decrease the amount of time that someone is having to wait to get the answer to their question, and really improve that customer experience, especially if they're in a position where they just want to know immediately what is going on. It's a big thing. They've spent a lot of money on their holiday or their flight, or they've got to go and see a loved one and they don't know whether it's going to happen. And now they just don't know when someone can help them. If you've got something that really works, like
we had that exact use case. So we have it deployed with a couple of travel companies already. And when COVID hit, the first thing that obviously everyone started to contact, everyone went to the website and everyone started to call in. And obviously that's obviously not great, because we weren't prepared for the kind of volumes we're going to get. So it's been able to kind of proactively start that conversation. So rather than, you know, waiting for people to come to us, we kind of sent the message out through email and through text with a link that kind of says, look, here's all the answers that you need about your reservation, your booking, your holiday. Click the link, but it's not just an FAQ, a faceless FAQ page on a website. It is a conversation that you can ask me anything about your particular booking, and I will be able to provide you an answer. And we were saying kind of 80-85% self-serve through that method, which took away a lot of the kind of the volume. And I guess it's how it's deployed. I mean, so the AI that we're talking about is deployed to it, the information it pulls is from the website. So it understands and it reads the website essentially. And then with that, you can understand the intent and context of the questions it's being asked by the customer. But then as we can update the website, it means the AI is automatically updated at the same time. So when it checks back to see where the information is that it's previously used or accessed, it can see if it's changed, and we'll make sure it's giving the most up-to-date information. So with that, we can always kind of push out again proactively and kind of say, look, we've got some more information specifically around this element of your holiday or your booking.
I love it. That must be so helpful, especially I mean, even just the cost of having lots of people deployed, having to deal with every customer one-on-one, or a few customers at a time if you're doing it through chat.
Yep.
Being able to do that remotely and intelligently through tech is a real game changer, isn't it? Especially if you're a big operation like that, trying to manage a real influx of customers where you've had some kind of issue that you need to deal with quickly. If customers are happy to self-serve and you can move in that direction, it means then you can really deploy your main team to deal with the much more troublesome cases, rather than the quick, okay, can you just tell me what the case size is that I can take on a flight? All of that kind of stuff can really mean that you can deploy and transform your contact center or your travel business or whatever it is a lot easier. So I really love that.
Yeah, I mean that in itself is an experience. So you know, you're improving the advisor experience at the same time, because they're not getting the you know, the high volume repetitive stuff through. They're getting stuff which is challenging them, and that's what people want when they come to it. They want to be challenged. They want to try new things every day, and be in that kind of zone. And when we've spoken to our advisors, they kind of see the AI almost as another colleague, and it's that colleague that's taken away the kind of the high volume stuff that they don't want to talk about. But when, you know, when the AI does have to reach a point where it does have to hand over to an advisor, they can have that conversation almost with the AI to see what they've been talking to the customer about. So they've got the kind of the transcript summarized to them, so they can kind of see where the conversation has led and why the AI is maybe not being able to provide that answer. And then with that, we can determine whether it's something that the AI should have been able to answer, in which case maybe there's some content missing, or whether it is something that should have definitely come through to the advisor, in which case, you know, it was the right choice.
So can they engage with it like a kind of a knowledge base as well?
To some respect, yeah. So there's kind of like a dashboard in the back end, which shows you all kind of your metrics around how many conversations have been had with the AI, what the topics are that have come out of it, what the key categories are, the confidence level of the answers that have been provided. So the AI kind of decides that, and then ultimately right down to the individual chat level, and hand off to an advisor. Yeah.
So you can make sure that you are constantly improving it, because if you can see the low ones that it marks as low level, you can work out what additional information needs to be put in the back end to really improve that. Oh,
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. No, I really like it. So what kind of things would make it low confidence?
Effectively, if the content is not on the website, then it's not going to be able to provide an answer, essentially. So anything that's kind of opinion based, where on a website you wouldn't necessarily, if you were selling products, you wouldn't necessarily provide an opinion saying this product is better than this product.
Yes.
It had to be factual. So if a customer is asking the AI to provide an opinion, it can't obviously do that. It will kind of service all the different options which are available. But saying that, you can, because it's goal oriented, you can tell it to have that kind of sales strategy, so that if your sales goal was always to promote the most expensive option first, that's what the AI will do. And it'll kind of say, well, you know, based on what you've told me that you want, this is the best option, or the number one option. And if the customer comes back and says, well, that's far too expensive, it'll kind of say, well, here's the next option, that kind of stuff. So it will kind of try and qualify everything that the customer wants and present the correct option based on the sales strategy that we've asked it to abide by.
Fantastic. It really is. And as I said, I worked in a contact center when I was 19. The way that this stuff is really kind of moving forwards is just tremendous. When I took calls, I didn't even have any kind of knowledge base. I had to just know what I knew, or speak to a senior and hope that they were, you know, free to talk to me and share their knowledge with me when I first joined. But having something like this just is going to upskill people so much more quickly, and reduce the number of calls that ever have to get through in the first place.
Definitely, yeah.
Really like it. So what's the future then? So what are you looking at next? Where do you think you're going to go?
So we think augmented reality's got a little bit further to go. So it's brand new. It's launched this year. The partner that provides the technology for us, launched in March. So that it is literally this year. We're excited to see how that's going to continue to develop. And just in the short time that we've been working with them, the detail of the digital assets they've been able to create, it's constantly getting better. And we're expecting kind of LiDAR technology to come with the next iPhone, which again allows us to do even more with that type of stuff. So we're excited about that. In the conversational AI elements, we think probably the next steps with that are quite exciting as well. So again, looking at how we can deploy the AI. So we've recently looked at deploying the conversation from an advertisement. So effectively, you could have a conversation with your brand on someone else's website, as it were. So if you're on like a review website, for example, and a customer was looking at your products and you had a targeted banner ad that came up at the side, you could actually have the conversation with the AI in that advertisement without having to leave the review site. So you could be talking specifically about the products, and it's obviously pulling the information from your own website, but then you've started a sales conversation without even being on your site. Being able to take the conversation away. So wherever you begun the conversation, so if you have started it on a website, and suddenly you're halfway through the sales process and you realize you're late to do something, you could then take the conversation away with your WhatsApp and come back to it. So it becomes more of an asynchronous experience. So it doesn't have to be, continuously live. You pick up the conversation where you left off, but in your own time.
On a different channel.
Exactly, yeah. So it becomes much more around fitting around your lifestyle and your time frames, essentially. Because I think time is the new currency, right? So it's leisure time is everything for us. So everything needs to fit around what we want to do rather than the other way around, which it probably historically has been.
Mm.
And then more down the road and probably into next year, putting a face to the AI, perhaps. So looking at avatars and creating an even more of a social experience almost. So if we can have kind of a very realistic, not necessarily a humanly realistic character, but a high detail, obviously an avatar character that's able to convey emotion through facial expressions, and obviously is synced up with a voice that can kind of speak back to you. So we think that's probably the next evolution of kind of chat-based technologies.
Oh, that's very interesting indeed, isn't it? To see what that might look like and where that might go. And I suppose if there's a preference between speaking to a human or speaking to this very intelligent bot, I wonder what the choices will be, especially if it is. Humans have bad days. They're sometimes a bit grumpy. They've had 50 calls one after another, all complaining to say that LU20 has got no power, and they had to say the same things over and over. If you've got an intelligent bot that will chat to them and go, "Oh, I love your car picture you've got in the background there, James. Tell me about that," and actually kind of build rapport, which they certainly could do in the future or now. That they could end up having a much better experience than with an actual analyst on the other end of the phone.
I think so, yeah. I think it's very natural to have when you kind of see, not to say it has to be very human lifelike, but something that resembles humans, so eyes, nose, mouth, and you kind of almost, it brings your guard down a little bit, because especially when it's reacting to what you're saying, you kind of feel like you're being listened to a bit more.
Yeah, and you can see the facial expressions of somebody and feeling, oh, okay, they get it. They
exactly, yeah.
Because if it reacts to say, okay, this person's come through quite angry, and it's not all like, it kind of gets it and reacts and kind of goes, all right, okay, I need to look a bit more somber, and then hopefully at the end of the call I've managed to make it into a good, happy conversation. Then, I can't wait to see where this goes. This is really interesting.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing with me. This is it's been a really fantastic podcast.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you. Right, well, I'll close the podcast, but have a fantastic day.
You too.
And we'll put it out soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
See you later. Bye.